Well, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to our call tonight. I love this call. I love it more than the Pro 5 and higher, the MC2 and higher call that we used to do. This is more of a good training, get you started. You're going to hear an opportunity by Cynthia, and then I'll go over an onboarding, what we do once we get somebody involved. I'll go over that, and I'll show you what me and Summer do. And I love it. I love everything about it. A little bit about myself, guys. I grew up in a small town in Montana in the mountains, about 6,500 people. It was a mining community. I was adopted. My mom who raised me, dad who raised me and adopted me. Um, there's days I didn't eat growing up. We were very, very poor. I fought all the time. I ended up being a state wrestling champion because the police department told my mom, you need to do something with your son or he's going to end up in prison by the time he's 18. And so they put me into a wrestling program when I was about 5, 6 years old. And my thought was I could beat people up and I won't get in trouble for it. I'm all over that. And so I did. I loved it. I loved beating people up. And because I was mean and angry and bitter all the time because kids teased me and I was small. And I kind of went through my whole life like that, guys. I created my wealth with a chip on my shoulder. I don't know if I'm proud of it, but it was what motivated me. People told me I wouldn't amount to much. I'd never have anything, blah, 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 blah. And I just wanted to prove them wrong. And so I went at it and I figured out how to make money. I got 3 college degrees. I was in medicine for 10 years. I freaking hated it. Now there's doctors on this call and I love them for what they do. But for me, it just wasn't me. I felt like I was always treating the symptom and not the cause. And I needed to be an entrepreneur because I knew if I was going to live a life that I've always truly wanted to live and for my kids, because I had 3 sons and my oldest son died in my arms 14 years ago. I was paralyzed from the waist down 14 years ago. For about 5 months, I got 6 rods holding my spine together, and I was divorced after 19 years of marriage 14 years ago. At the time when the doctor shared this business with me almost 10 years ago, I had 11 companies, I had 400 and some employees, and I had a TV show, and I hated my life. I was making great money. I was still learning how to walk. Some days I'd have to use a walker. Um, Still grieving over my son's death, miserable and angry because of my divorce. My divorce cost me a few $1 million. I had to pay my ex-wife on top of everything. I had to give her 7,000 a month for 7 years, pay for all of her medical and dental, pay for my kids' college. And I gave her a house on a lake that was paid for and our home that was paid for. And I was angry over that, bitter over that. And when this doctor approached me with this about 10 years ago, I thought, why not? I already hate my life. I'll just add one more business to it. That was my mindset. And I thought I'll get it to where I'm making about $2,000 a month. I'll put it in an account for my other 2 sons that were they were in college and they were college athletes. They had scholarships, but they weren't huge. And I thought I'll help them go through school. And that was my goal. That's all. That's what I would do. Well, I met my beautiful wife about a month and a half after I got involved in this, and we fell in love right away. And I thought, okay, how is this going to work? I'm gone 9 months out of the year. I'm in Asia for 3 months every year with manufacturing with some of my companies. I had my TV show that was a global TV show. I was gone all the time. I had my companies. I was gone. She was a medical device rep covering 4 states, largest territory in her entire company. She was gone 4 or 5 nights a week. How's this going to work? We're both, yeah, we might get together. Well, that end up breaking up or we'll end up in a divorce if we get married because we're never going to see each other. But I had been involved in this business for about a month and a half, and I had gotten some people involved, but I wasn't really serious about it. As soon as we sold each other, we loved each other. I became serious. I thought this is a way. This could be the way that will give us that freedom. We did it for about a year. We got to where we're making about $5,000, $6,000 a month after about a year, having no clue what the hell we were doing, but we were just getting a lot of people involved. And then we met Marcel Niederhauser, who's done over $2 billion in this business, about a year older than me, and he shared with me and taught me in summer how to do this. And he said, if you guys do what I teach in 2 to 5 years, I believe you'll be free. And I said, I'll give you 4, but don't you ever lie to me when it comes to business or money or I'm done. 22 months into this, my daughter was born. Now I'm over 60, guys. I know I look 25, but I'm over 60 and I have an 8-year-old. Question my sanity there a little bit. My greatest heartache over that is I'm not going to be there to protect her for a lot of her life physically, right? And that pains me sometimes to think about that, being over 60 and having an 8-year-old. But I live every day with her. She's been all over the world. She's been to Mexico 9 times, all over the world. The United States, I think she's been to 42 states. She lives an amazing little life. That little girl is beyond spoiled, and I spoil her. Like I had a son die in March. I spoil my kids. Why would I do it because I haven't? I spoil my wife, right? I do whatever I can to give my family a life that I never had growing up. And the people that are on this call, if you've been invited here for the first time, they want to help you do that too. So Cynthia's going to do an overview here, guys, and there's just principles and behaviors, but she's going to share with you the opportunity. Please pay attention to what this gal is going to, like, this is like my sister from another mister. Pay attention to what she's going to share with you tonight. Don't discard this without doing your own. We're publicly traded, so do your own damn due diligence, right? And use some common sense. Because why would a person that had 11, I've had 30 companies in 25 years and I've sold them all. Why would a person that had 11 companies, and many of them are multi-million dollar companies, walk away from that 22 months into this to raise a daughter and to be with his wife every day? Why would somebody walk away from all of that to do this little thing in network marketing? You need to ask yourself that question and use some common sense when you do answer it, because this gives me the life that I've always wanted, 100%. And so, Sen, would you turn this over or just share with these guys what you're excited about, what I'm freaking ecstatic about, and then I'll take it from there when you're done, dear. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I so appreciate, Rob, the connection that we didn't know each other until this community put us together. And it's like spirits, like minds. And my story, while you're sharing, I said, while there may be different factors, and I'll weave that in, we both wanted something similar, which was choices we didn't have. In your case, time with family. I was actually loving the work I was doing before. I mean, I have visuals and I'm going to use those, but I want to just kind of paint the picture of, while it looks so different, I had 3 companies, not 11. I had 3 companies, but the work was tied to breakthrough thinking, leadership development, quantum physics, brain science. I would get letters and cards from my clients that I changed their lives. So my soul, I'd like to say my soul was fed. But on January 1, all the coaching courses and fees and whatever I collected, I'd go to zero. I was making a good 6-figure income, but then it would go to zero and I have to do it again. And there was this realization that I can't stop. It wasn't a hamster wheel. I call it a merry-go-round, because I was having a good time, but I was like, I could not get off that thing because people would refer me more clients and I'd have more clients, but I could only be paid if I was in front of clients, either in group coaching sessions, events I was putting on, one-on-one coaching. And my dad was about to hit 80. This is 8 years ago, when he was approaching his 80th birthday, living in this sort of new place. Our summer place in the woods of New Hampshire, he made it his year-round place, miles away from, like civilization, so to speak. And it hit me. If I'm living in Manhattan and something happens to my dad and I need to drop everything and go be with him, I would experience financial collapse. And that was not cool, that I had to choose between keeping the lights on, the bills paid, or being there for my dad, which also then meant, wow, any loved one in my life, I'm not free to just be available. So that lack of choice, I think that's the thing, like the thing that was key for Rob and you and your family, me, it was actually family too. It was this burning desire to be the author of my life. And what I noticed is, even though I'd left corporate and started my own business, I had this realization, I'm in the game that whoever pays me owns me. And that is not my style. I'm like, freedom is so important for me and others. I want people to be free. And if working for others, they feel free, then I'm like, yeah. I also embrace everyone's path. So that's what happened. So one of my dear friends asked me to take a look at this. And actually it was Sarah Smith. Some of you know her. We were introduced by a common friend. She had taken some of my breakthrough training. We hit it off. It was like a soul sister kind of thing. And she had started referring people to my work. And when someone who supports you asks this question, hey, Sin, I'd love your eyes on what I'm doing. It would mean the world to have your perspective, because what I'm up to is really big and really important to me. I mean, I kind of get choked up when I say those words, because that's actually pretty much what I then said after I vetted this. I didn't know what people would want to do with it, but it meant a lot to have their eyes on it. And it meant a lot that Sarah asked for me to have my eyes on what she was working on. So I'm going to just walk you through some of the things I had to vet for me to say, hey, I'm already working 80 hours a week. If I'm going to weave this in to the nooks and crannies, I had maybe 6 to 8 hours a week for about the first year and change. And here's what's funny. That's the same amount of time if someone asked me to be on the board for a nonprofit that like lit me up. I'd find those 6 or 8 hours a week. I kind of know that about me. It doesn't matter how many hours I'm working because I'm just loving it and I was making a difference. 6 or 8 hours a week. If I'm going to pour that time for something that makes a difference in humanity, I realized I could take the same 6 or 8 hours a week and put it into this project, this team I was invited on to help expand a breakthrough technology. And in fact, that's what I said to all my busy friends. I said, you know how we'll take like 6 or 8 hours a week? Because that was how I also help people understand, and we do a lot in 6 or 8 hours a week. We can totally pour 6 or 8 hours a week into a board position and like make mountains move. I said, that's what I'm doing. I'm turning that same 6 or 8 hours a week to serve humanity, and I'm doing it here. And somehow just me sharing the story brought a wave of support. And some people were like, I can't believe it, but I really love what you're doing. And I don't know where I'm going to find the time, but I'm going to work with you on this. This is groundbreaking. This is amazing. So this was the journey. I'm walking you through really what were the things I had to look at. What a lot of people didn't know, and Sarah didn't know this, in my, early 30s, so literally 30 years ago. Actually, I was 29, so roughly a little more than 30 years ago. I was in the top 10 of a network marketing company. It was my second ever network marketing company. I was always one of these corporate people. Then I started my coaching and training and consulting business. And I always found that it was a synergistic thing. Empowering people has been my thing. So I was part of building a huge team 30 years ago, but I didn't know that a privately held company was a bad move. I was new to this industry. I was great with people, built awesome teams. Product was an invention, patent pending, early to the game, and it blew up because the owners didn't have to tell us what was going on. And I knew the 4 owners. They told us it was great, that we were doing great. And in the dark of night, they packed it up and closed it down. And along with my dream being dashed, I watched 6,000 people lose their dream. So I said at that time, keep in mind, that was 30 years ago, I said I will never do network marketing again unless it's publicly traded. The product offering, it's either proprietary, it's patented or proprietary. I am not going to be building an international team on some product I can buy down the street that's like a slight tweak or improvement. No way. I'm doing this for what? Multi-decade and legacy beyond my lifetime. And then the third, it's just the one that very often people I find don't think to ask was, it has to be under 250,000 distributors worldwide or I wouldn't touch it. Do you know that for 13 years I looked at everything? Anytime I ran into somebody in network marketing, I'm like, show me what you got. Because I love the industry. It's brilliant if done right. In 13 years of looking under every stone and every person I knew, I was shocked. These 3 things did not go together anywhere. And so I got so accustomed to saying no that I didn't even believe it was possible. I went into what I did again, coaching and empowering people. But when I hit that wall 8 years ago with my dad turning 80, and I thought, here I am trapped again. I thought the answer was going to be my training and evergreen platform. And Sarah Smith swiftly walked into my life and changed the game. So this is why it's so powerful, LifeVantage. So this is basically a publicly traded biotech sitting in the hands of some scientists and parked their product on retail. Was not doing well. And it was the ABC News report that I'm going to show in a moment that turned the tides. Now, just for the sake of time, I'm going to ask you to circle back with the person who shared the ABC News report with you. But I'm going to kind of give you a thumbnail sketch of what happened in this thing as I go through this. Why am I showing you this? This is a framework of thinking that will provide a very powerful lens that also has you look at what was I looking for? But often when people are evaluating this with me, I'm listening for where do they want to go? That Stephen Covey line, begin with the end in mind. I'm interested in what are someone's goals, dreams, aspirations, and is the quadrant they're in the one that's the best match to fulfill on what they want. I was born on the left side of the quadrant. Everybody in my family were tons of athletes, and we're all these crazy athletes, and we're all high achievers. And everybody in my family was either a high paid employee or a high paid expert specialist at something that they'd have a wait list for, whether it's psychotherapists, caterers, and my family was all like super high achievers. I was one of the best at what I do. But guess what? Don't put in the time, there's no money. I didn't know about the right-hand side of the quadrant because nobody in my family had access to what's known as leveraged income or nonlinear income. The right-hand side of the quadrant is where people separate themselves from the creation of their income. When I first heard that line, even though I'd been in this industry for years, it was that line that I learned from the mentors here who build B quadrant businesses in network marketing. It's only like 5% of people in network marketing even figure that out. I couldn't repeat that. I was like, wait, say that again. Separating myself. Freedom is a function of separating oneself from the creation of one's income. I couldn't even repeat that. It's like learning German. I had to like say it again and again until I got it, which actually excited me because it meant I was learning a new language. So when I was in network marketing, I kind of accidentally stumbled into something where it could be a klutz and we exploded. That's because I didn't have good mentors. We just had a great product. We were blabbing and the company was a disaster, as I said. So here I was saying, okay, I need to know that the kind of the checklist was in place because I was looking for a B quadrant business. That's when someone buys 5 or more franchises. If I buy 4 or less McDonald's, people don't often know this. If I buy 5 or more McDonald's, I'm trained differently than the guy that. So if I buy 5 or more, I'm trained differently than the guy that buys 4 or less. Or if I buy 4 or less McDonald's, I'm trained differently than the group of people that bought 5 or more. I will be, if I'm in S quadrant, if you own 4 McDonald's or less, you're in the S quadrant, which means I'm never getting out of there. So I have a friend who bought 6, not McDonald's, but something similar. We went to high school together. We're both athletes. We've stayed in touch over the years. And when I showed him what I was doing in Life Advantage, he said, thank God you got off that stupid hamster wheel where people would pay you and then you would never see money from them again. He goes, what were you doing? He was always mad at me that I was in the S quadrant. And when just like the quickest conversation about what I was doing in Life Advantage, I said, well, I looked at these 6 categories. He goes, those are the same exact 6 things we look at before we decide what franchise to put our $12 million into. Because he bought 6. Now, it's very interesting, because this is the checklist, the tick boxes that must be in place for like vetting a solid business venture. In other words, if even one of these is missing, the chances of success drop drastically. And when I shared with him what I was doing and I addressed each tick box, he goes, I can tell you're going to do this thing. He makes 7 figures a year. He's retired. We're same age. But he just wanted to, he goes, I want to know you're good, Sid, because if you get sick or injured with what you're doing, you're screwed. That was his language I'm quoting. Try to keep clean language going. Well, here's what it was. I'm going to walk you through these 6 because it was super important. As I said, the ABC News report, definitely circle back with the person that sent this information or invited you here, because this is where I had never in my 30-something years in network marketing seen this. An ABC News report that went in and validated the product. That means the first video that Sarah Smith showed to me wasn't the company saying, oh, our product is so great, because every company will say that. It was a third-party validation. I'd never seen that in 30 years. I said, oh my gosh. And then I find out you have science and validation. So third-party validation at a level I'd never seen, even in all the traditional businesses I'd been exposed to or introduced to, and ventures people invite me to invest in. So it is an unbelievable thing to see on national television, a gentleman coming in, doing his blood test, says, sorry, I know you need 4 weeks. I'm going to give you 2, because that's the only 2 dates my camera crew can come in. He comes back 2 weeks, just shy of 2 weeks later, and his blood work has such a breakthrough that it's the distinction is an 80-year-old's blood work can't be distinguished from a 20-year-old's blood work. That's what this does. It's flipping on pathways. So the ABC News report is very
Following is an
We're not going to watch it because I want to just keep on rolling, but it is pretty remarkable. And they didn't even know what was going to happen. Like 12 days, we don't really even know this is how it's going to go. But hey, we're about to go out of business. Why were they about to go out of business? Sitting in retail. Do you know that if a bunch of scientists start a company, if they haven't been in, like, they don't have business-minded people on the team, they're probably going to make some, goofy decisions. I'll put it that way. Putting a breakthrough scientific, technology into retail, not a smart move from a marketing standpoint. Retail is where you go when you know what you're looking for, not when the thing has never been explained. And it failed. 2 years in, The company was about to go out of business. The ABC News report hits in 2005. First time anyone heard the story. Boom. In about, 3 weeks, we did went through what we normally sell in a year, which also meant we had no inventory left, 9-month back order. The company should have gone out of business yet again. And then they finally restocked the shelves. And then here they are, ready. Nobody comes in. 9 months later, are you going to remember a news report that you saw 9 months ago? No, out of sight, out of mind. But one of the people that was packaging the company, as they're looking at, well, I guess we're going to have to sell this thing. This consulting team, one of the members of this consulting team said, you have something so important that it's the ABC News report. It was the first time anyone heard the story. And it had people jump in their cars, drive themselves to GNC, and you blew through all inventory on every shelf of every GNC across the country. All you need to do is put that ABC News report in the hands of connectors and educators and influencers, kind of grassroots activation type personalities that want to make sure new information reaches the people around them because they care about them. Or, he said, share your revenues with them so abundantly that you'll attract people that otherwise wouldn't bother. Make it worth the while of visionary, bold, productive people. Let them get a percent that lasts for a multi-decade revenue share on any city, state, or country they have a hand in putting on the map. That's what got me my attention, because I was already successful. Remember, I was looking for a way off the hamster wheel, or in my case, the merry-go-round. But if it was just a couple thousand a month I was going to make, that would not have gotten my attention. So it was so important the way they designed it so they could attract really visionary and extraordinary people that have a deep commitment to the empowerment of others. So it's it's like wealth and the empowerment of others. I call that wealth, kind of like the wealth and the contribution piece. It's a very special culture that got attracted to this. We did move to the NASDAQ. So this is the kind of the company check. Now, what else is going on is the product piece of that 6-point checklist. What is going on? It must be unique, significant, and highly consumable. Can you imagine if it was just like a one-time sale, like a vacuum cleaner? And you're as big as your last sale. Build it right and get paid for decades. That's what I was looking for. They did a survey about, I think it was 20 years ago, maybe it was 15. They interviewed the 5 or 6 wealthiest people at the time. And they said, where's the future of business? And they all said, subscribe now. This is before subscriptions started kicking in. They said, subscription business models are the most reliable form of cash flow. Find something like Netflix. It's unique and highly consumable, and people just keep paying it. That's what happens here, because this is what we have. It impacts people because there's nothing else like it. We have patents on it, and we're the only place that can get it. Everyone's going to supplementation. I was a swimmer, got to swim for Team USA. My swim coach at age 12 introduced me to supplements. Totally changed the game. My swimming career took off. Yes, plus mindset training. And I was kind of a geek in the supplement space. It wasn't my profession, but I'm just like fascinated and learning and studying, and I had never gotten my head around. It took me 6 times seeing this slide to even understand what Sarah was sharing with me. And then I suddenly went, oh my gosh, wait a minute. So here's what happens. Supplementation means I'm deficient in the thing, in this case, antioxidants, because oxidation, rust, is caused by this kind of overwhelm of free radicals. They're causing the rust, like cut an apple in half, it turns brown. So voila, rust is happening because all these free radicals, because we used to balance them out until we hit 20, as you can see in that chart. Right around early 20s, suddenly the faucet of things that keep that free radical damage under control, the faucet shuts off, is the way the inventor said it. So if I want to address this free radical damage or oxidative stress, eating supplements or consuming supplements, because it's a 1-to-1 matchup, one blueberry antioxidant molecule will neutralize 1 free radical. That's the math. So just given how many antioxidant molecules are in blueberries, which is the highest content of the 4, I'd have to eat 110 cups of blueberries if I'd like to neutralize 1 million free radicals, whether I want to do it today or this week. Just get the math. 110 cups of blueberries this week if I want to neutralize 1 million free radicals this week. Our body makes some insane number. It's something like 13 septillion free radicals a day. So even eating 110 cups of blueberries today won't even really make much of a dent. So that's why no one had been able to address this phenomenon known as oxidative stress. It's tied to over 200 different disease states. In comes this breakthrough called activation. This is what makes LifeVantage distinct from anything, and this is the addressing my need for something significant, unique, and highly consumable. Here's what it means. When our body is activated to make its own antioxidant enzymes, that faucet that shuts off around 21 to 23, when that faucet is turned back on, and we make all these enzymes, it turns out one molecule in this river, I kind of like to call it this river, the faucet. So imagine this river of antioxidant enzymes, one molecule that my body makes, here's just one of them called SOD. That thing will neutralize 1 million free radicals per second in every cell of the body, and it lasts 10 days. I said, oh my gosh, this took me 6 times seeing this. You mean I'd have to eat 110 cups of blueberries every second for 10 straight days to keep up with one molecule that my body makes in the river of molecules when this faucet gets turned back on? And I'm telling you, it took me a while. Breakthroughs are kind of a funny thing. They kind of either hit you over the head or it goes over the head. And I kind of missed it until it hit me. And then I said, oh my gosh, this is like being part of probably one of the most important breakthroughs in human health and anti-aging. I'm going to find the time. That was when I realized 6 hours a week, I can find it. I'm going to make it work. Now, why is it also important to me was I'd never seen, remember, now we're kind of back to the things that make this distinct. I'd never seen a supplement or a nutraceutical or a natural formulation named in peer-reviewed studies, not just the ingredients, and then 7 US patents on just this one formula. We have a couple other patents on some of our other synergistic formulas. Okay, that, again, never seen an ABC News report be the first introduction to a conversation, third-party validation, third-party peer reviews, and US patents validating that we do what we say. Okay, I'd never seen that. I said, okay, I'm now dealing with a flat, full-on invention, and I'm being invited to receive a multi-decade revenue share on an invention that isn't just some kind of like technology that helps boats go faster or something like that. Like, this is changing the machinery of the human body to do what it was programmed to do before we turn 20. Not even really changing, kind of waking it up. And so I said, okay, we're going to figure it out. And we keep going on and activating. What else do we activate? Mitochondria, NAD. We found the pathway to activate the body's ability to make its own collagen again, which is the highest content protein, activating GLP-1 hormone. Oh, you mean instead of taking in a synthetic mimic of GLP-1, why don't we find a way to turn on the body's ability to make its own GLP-1 hormone? This is, again, patent pending. These are breakthroughs. What we do as the activation company still boggles my mind. We keep inventing. We keep asking, how else do we help the body do what it used to do? Activating the cognitive and cellular energy space, and then gut health. Okay, again, each of these things, get back with the person who invited you. Couple last kind of factors on this sort of 6-item checklist is timing. Remember what I said about if it was over 250,000 distributors, I was out. Which, by the way, that was just, there's so many companies. There's not anything wrong with those companies. It's just too late for me because I'm fascinated by what? Pioneering. I love being someone that could help put Germany on the map. We're open in Germany, but not much is happening there. That is good news for me because it means somewhere in my network, let's say a dear friend's cousin's roommate in college is like from Germany. I'm giving someone a chance to own the German market is an example. That's what I was looking for. And most people don't know this. I don't care if it's Federal Express, Apple, automakers, whatever industries. The first 5, 10, 15 years of a company's existence, 95% aren't even making it. This is the kind of, sometimes it's called the white water, sometimes it's called the valley of death. And in network marketing, 95% of them aren't even around in 5 years. Okay, so pioneering can be risky. But once a company kind of proves itself after 4 or 5 years, it makes it through the test, then it's approaching, the goal is to approach the star on this little chart, it's the tipping point, critical mass. It goes from no one's heard of it to suddenly everyone's heard of it. No one's heard of Steve Jobs, and then suddenly everyone's talking about Steve Jobs. When do you think was the best time to buy stock? When everyone's talking about him and already knows about him, or before anyone knew about him? You guys, the weird part is, yes, there's higher return when you do something in the obscure state. Not everyone has that kind of risk tolerance, if you will. I was so excited when I found out there were 20-something peer-reviewed studies, this, half a dozen patents, and no one's heard of it. it's still in the same boat, 7.5 years later that I've been here. It's like, this is so special. It's just that we're, really powerful. We're right at the cusp of what's known as the wealth phase of companies that become billion-dollar companies in this industry. And momentum, that's where the wealth gets created. So anyone who comes in just before the critical mass is positioned to do amazing things. If they kind of paddle, you can be a bad surfer on a really good wave. You just got to paddle. As opposed to this last phase up here, the too late. This is when someone has to be wave is not so good. So you have to be an expert surfer. And I have a lot of friends who have never even had their own business, and I'm watching them. I have a joke. I wanted to be part of the company before it hit 300,000 because I want to help my friends who are essentially kind of a klutz in this business. That's how we are. If you start learning salsa, you're a klutz until you get good at it. Start learning tennis, you're a klutz until you get good at it. I think klutz is kind of the way it goes when you're learning something. I like to embrace the klutzy stage of learning a language, learning anything new. I have a lot of compassion for the learning process. People who are uncomfortable with the klutzy, awkward stage, stay with what they know, and they do not want uncomfortable situations. I look for the people that are like, yeah, bring it on. Let me develop myself. Let me see what I'm made of. And that's why when someone says, how have I never heard of this? How can you have patents, clinical studies? This is crazy. How have I never heard of it? I said, simple. We're not at 300,000 distributors around the world. We call them consultants. We're under 90,000 worldwide, and a little more than half of them are just in the US alone. So if we have 50-something thousand in the US, that's 40, let's just say just shy of 40,000 in the rest of our 20 countries that we have opened. It is wide open. That turns people like me on. We love that that's the case. We have to find the partners. We're not looking for sales reps at this time. That's the S quadrant part of network marketing. We're looking for the person that in a 6 or 8 or 12 or 15 hours a week, he's like, yeah, train me how to build the equivalent as if I bought 5 McDonald's. Because by the way, 5 McDonald's is what it takes to make 7 figures a year. It also costs 10 million to buy 5. So I don't have friends that have 10 million. I have friends that have something else in terms of capital. They have social capital. They have relationships. Now, here's what's important about trends, because this is now the social capital piece of the pie. Here are the trends. Never before have there been more people looking for sustainable income streams and ways to take control of their health. It's going on. Every time I turn around, someone's saying something about this. Very least, they learn about what I'm working on, and they're like, I can turn my body back on? That is too cool. How do I get your activators? They may not want to be on my team, but I did share the whole story with them so they can hear what I'm up to. And very often, on their mind is their well-being. On their mind, they want to expand what's called your lifespan. And so we already have lifespan. It's the health span. The health span is the time in which you're healthy during your lifetime. And it's like in all the books now. Health span, expand your health span. So you're not like healthy and then all of a sudden you're going to last 20 years of your life alive but not healthy. No, people want to be healthy through the duration of their life. And what else can we activate? This is the last piece of the puzzle that addresses the financial and the system I'm going to talk about. Activate means to really unleash potential. And I feel like I have friends who are amazing human beings with amazing relationships. And that it's like their earning capacity is like thwarted. There's like a lid. And I love that I can help people activate their capacity to create prosperity with this kind of business model. We learn a system. And here's what's fun. Our pay structure, we were paid 7 different ways. Just a few of the ones. This is based on people's skills. Some people have an amazing skill of gathering customers. There are people that make 4 and 5 figures a month just having customer base, which is great for people who have that skill. For some people, I meet people, my favorite people are people who build teams like as a volunteer, because I know what that skill is worth. It's the best, the highest paying environment for that skill of building a team is this industry. Early stage, because really what we're doing now is looking for team development. So we look for people that just their nature is to build community around them and bring people together. There are people who are natural mentors, love developing others. Oh my gosh, I look for those people because I know they're underpaid wherever they are. Not unless they're making 7 figures a year. They're making 7 figures a year as a coach. But I do ask them, if you get sick or injured for 5 months, does that 7 figures still come in? Give me 6 or 8 hours a week. Let's replace that over here. And then do both. And there are people who can get paid on what the company's already done. I walked in here, Japan had already been open. I'm paid on Japan, on customers that got on board before I even showed up on the scene. That's part of our revenue share. And then this is just to look at our financials. Definitely ask for the person who invited you to send this over to you. It's our income earning, our average earnings disclosure. The third column is the most interesting. It's our average kind of last year, the average that went out each month to each of these ranks. And someone can tell me, yeah, if I did this, what would make it worth it? Okay, $3,000 a month. If I did this part-time for 3 years and I can make $3,000 a month renewable, that would make me be a dedicated focus. For some people, it's like, I don't know, 5 or 6, maybe 8,000 a month. My New York friends, it was always 10,000. That was just the number. 5 figures a month to set me free if I have a crisis or emergency, or just to be able to do what I want and have the choices. And then there are people who said, wow, I know that 7 figures is possible. That's a kind of a cool person. I don't know, I'm a weirdo. At 8 years old, I wanted to be a millionaire. Because you know why? My parents were volunteering in the inner city of Detroit. I lived in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. I saw them volunteering and doing amazing work. And they were both successful entrepreneurs. They were in the S quadrant, small business owners, loving their work, making a difference, happy, volunteering, philanthropy is in our family. But here's the thing. I knew at 8 years old they could make a way bigger difference if they were millionaires. I thought, then it's my duty to become a millionaire. I got to figure this thing out. Remember, I was an athlete, so I was always told you can do anything you put your mind to. So I really believed that. And then I went and got a job. I thought that was crazy. People owning my schedule. Then I started my own business in the S quadrant. And then I was like, now my clients own me. So I was like, what is happening? And then network marketing came along. And network marketing basically says, if you can empower others, you can build something great. Let me give you guys a cheat sheet. Whatever number here looks interesting, like, ooh, 40,000 a month. Man, that would be, I could give half to my parents so they can stop working. You know, if you have parents that are elderly and you want them to get out of the workforce. Let's say 40,000 is the number. Someone's like, how do you do that? I said, just empower 4 people, go up 2, boom, boom, and develop a team, 4 different teams with an executive consultant 1. Well, how do you become an executive consultant 1? Go up 2 lines, boom, boom, help create 4 teams with a managing consultant 2. Well, how do you become a managing consultant 2? Just go up 2, create 4 teams with a senior consultant 3 on there. I mean, this is just mentorship and empowerment. The early stage of network marketing is more akin to the early stage of franchising because we're opening up networks, we're laying in the community that is the voice of leadership. And then this is just important to say, hey, everyone's going to do something different. People come to the party with more names in their phone. Some people come to this party with just a few names. Some people have incredible work ethic. Some people are figuring out their work ethic. Some people are trusted. Some people have been a bum. And now I've had people reinvent themselves, become a better person because they wanted to restart their network, turn a new leaf. And I think that is one of the most amazing things about this business. How do people get started? I have people say, wait, $1,000? The average business costs $80,000 to start in the United States. So I have had people say to me, you're kidding, right? $1,000 and I'm instantly open in 20 countries. I can build my business in 20 countries. I'm like, yeah. And it has about just shy of $1,500 worth of product and tools, the tickets to the events. It's really special. And the last thing here, system. System is the piece of the puzzle. I always joke around. Why would someone spend $2 million on a McDonald's? Is it because the burger recipe is so special? Nope. It's because the success recipe, people are spending the money on the success recipe, also known as the McDonald's manual, the system that's been proven. It's a proven system of success. That was my main reason for saying yes. Not only was the scientific breakthrough publicly traded, I said, man, if I have to invent the system myself, I can't do that in 6 hours a week. I'd have to do it. It would take so much time to perfect the system. So they showed me that the system was in place. They mentored me on it, and I was able to take 6 hours a week and just execute, have conversations using the system. I got so much accomplished in my 6 or 8 hours a week because of the system. Corporate training, field training, technology support that's developed, so I don't have to go developing all that. The online shopping, the checkout portal, super simple. Love that. The fact that I am part of a team. In my own business, I wear every hat. Every hat. I almost am addicted to every hat. So that's probably the hardest thing. If you're a small business owner, probably the hardest thing is we don't even know how to let go of a hat because we've been wearing them all the time. To let my team support me. I'm in business for myself, but I'm not by myself. And so different expertise. People on my team that I've brought on board, they're like, hey, I want to get coached by Sarah. I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. they don't want to talk to me. That means I'm free. If I always have to be the one they talk to, that's a trap. And the mentorship is extraordinary. We're helping people build the business. And then just to wrap it up, these were the things that just kind of had me realize I must find the 6 hours. I must find the 8 hours because my dreams were bold and I didn't know if I'd ever have a chance to be part of something where it's publicly traded. The transparency was what I needed. The fact that it's scientifically validated products and patented products. That is unique. Never saw that. The growth potential, because it's before that tipping point. Compensation plan is brilliant. Yes, I have friends that rate compensation plans. I love running by our compensation plan by them, and they're like, this is probably one of the best plans I've ever seen. And then the culture of support collaboration, like Rob and I are on different teams, but we're a family, and we support each other because of everyone's winning, like all the ships rise kind of thing. And it's all tied to legacy, which is the thing that got me with my big dreams in the first place, to make a difference in my lifetime. And after I'm gone, that's a part that I always wondered, could I leave a legacy in my lifetime, leave something behind that still elevates and empowers human beings after I'm gone? Ooh, I get really choked up saying that. So with that, I'm going to stop my share, and Rob, take it from here and the whole idea of how does someone get started and onboard them there for their success. Thank you so much.
Cynthia, awesome, my dear. Holy smokes. God, I don't even know if I want to follow that. Like, I might just hand this over to Lee and let him do take book. Thank you, dear. That was awesome. It freaking excites me all the time. Hey, guys, I'll just go over onboarding really quick. And this is what me and Summer have done for almost 10 years that we've been doing this. Um, so you just saw that if you're new on here, I'm signing you up right now. Well, I'm signing you up. I'm getting your information, but I want you to send out a text message or a phone call instantly. I don't wait, go put 20 names or 100 names on a piece of paper. I want you reaching out to people right now while I'm sitting there next to you or on a Zoom call with you, signing you up on a Zoom call when I got a split screen, because I want to be there when you're sending out this, because most people don't have the courage to just call somebody, right? They're kind of sheep when it comes to that, but texting, they're all lions, right? And so I said, send this text out. However you guys want to do it, but this is the text that I have used for almost 10 years, and we've built 2 top positions. Hey, I've got a project I'm working on. I'd love your opinion. What you doing tonight at 7 o'clock? If I'm sitting with you and you send that out to 10 people while I'm sitting there, I promise you I'm going to get meetings set up out of that, because they might respond and say, hey, well, what is it? Well, it's about 90% visual. I'll show you when I see you. Or they're going to say, yeah, sure. I send them a Zoom link or I meet them face to face or whatever. I'm going to set meetings up. My job at that point is I want you to make money. I want you making money, because if you signed up as a consultant, I'm assuming you want to go make money. You want to build a business. You want freedom, what Cynthia just explained. You want that part of what we have. And so I want to act now, not tomorrow after you put 20 names together. If it's not late, I want to start setting up meetings right now. And we're doing those meetings together. Let's just say, now I don't know Stuart, but let's just, and Stuart's in the center square for you. I'm going to pick on Stuart. Say Stuart signs up right now. Me and him are together. Stuart, send this information, send this text out to 10 of your buddies or 5 of your buddies or whatever. He's going to get responses. I'm going to set up meetings, and he's going to see me set up meetings. All right, Stuart, we got a meeting with Joe tomorrow at 4. We got a meeting with Susie tomorrow at 7. And maybe I signed Stuart up at 2 o'clock today, and we got a meeting tonight at 7 o'clock with Steve. Stuart don't have to be there, but I want him there as much as he possibly can make it possible. I want him on that call with me, because I want him to sit there when I share this information for him with him. I'm grabbing him by the hand and I'm doing this with him. If you sign people up and tell them, go do it, you're going to fail like freaking crazy in this. You've got to help them, because most people have no clue, right? They don't. They're going to struggle with this. They try to do it on their own. They will fail. And so why not help them, right? You got 50 arrows. I was just telling you, I've got, my quiver is full of arrows. Why not use every arrow instead of one, right? If you got it statistically. And so while we're setting that meeting up, and I've got that meeting set, and we're signing Stuart up, and we get him on his auto ship right away. We say everybody signed up on an auto ship. We tell them that you got total control of this. You can add to it. You can subtract it. You can cancel if you want, whatever. But we get that set up. We explain the 300 in volume so they can get paid, right? And I tell them, if you have to, let's go get, so in 10 years, me and Summer have gotten 3 customers. We build business. We've gotten 3 customers literally in 10 years. And 2 of those customers are still with us, my mom and my cousin. They spend about $400 a month on product. That's my 300. Now, me and Summer probably spend 200 to 250 every month on product because we take it, but we're always between Onyx and Emerald, as far as the selling thing, right? That we're always somewhere right in there. So I'm getting them on auto ship. I've got meetings set up. Right? You want action right away, guys. Don't sit there and try to teach them all their back office stuff and all that. Listen, why is that? Because logic, all that kind of stuff does not move people. Emotion moves people. They're excited when they sign up. They're probably scared to death, but at least they're excited. So you want to take action right away. I want to show them honestly that how easy this could be if they put action forward. Because if they're with me, they're going to start to develop a little bit of confidence. And I'm hoping that maybe I get a person that's kind of negative, especially right out of the gate. Right? Why? Because I know how to respond to that. Right? I know how to take care of that. They don't. Like, here's an example. Me and Summer shared this with a friend of ours that he's been buying camouflage from our camouflage clothing company for probably 20 years. He's got terminal cancer. They'd given him 2 years. He lives in Oregon. Summer got on and shared this with him a couple days ago. I went to do the follow up just before I jumped on this call. He's got his son there. His son is about 27 years old. He's kind of helping his dad with. Now, you wouldn't know that Ray has cancer. Like, he looks healthy, but he's terminal. He showed me the scar on his stomach that's still there after a year not healed, where they did the surgery. It is gross. And I said, Ray, you ready to get going? I go, I don't know where you sit financially. He's owned his own business, guys. He went through a divorce. The guy doesn't even have $225 to start his own business. I'm like, what about your son Aaron? He's running your plumbing business. You guys are doing blah, 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 blah. We just don't have that. Like, you're an adult and you don't even have $225 to start your own business. I go, Ray, you realize what you've been doing your whole life is not working. I don't care divorce or not divorce. You're a freaking adult. He goes, Rob, I get it. He goes, I just don't have it. And then his son's like, well, yeah, but I did my research and it's very similar to a pyramid scheme. And I just started laughing. I go, honestly, Aaron, that's probably one of the most ignorant things I've heard come out of your mouth since I've known you. He goes, what do you mean by that? I go, dude, you work for your dad, right? Yeah. Does your dad make more money than you? Yeah. Will you ever make more money than your dad? No. Okay, that's a pyramid scheme. Here, the guy that got me involved, that's a doctor, placed me 5 deep underneath him. Me and my wife have passed the 5 people between me and him and 9 people above him. We have literally passed and make more money than those 14 people combined. Does that sound like a pyramid scheme? And by the way, would the 2 largest investors in the world throw millions of dollars into a pyramid scheme? I think not. How about the 2 largest banks in the United States? Do you think they'd say they'd want to be a part of this? No, that's just freaking common sense. See, I know how to respond to that. I've been doing this 10 freaking years. So what I'm doing with Stuart, who's maybe brand new, I'm giving him some of those arrows in my quiver. He started to say, okay, I know how to answer some of that stuff. I'm giving him a little bit more confidence. So as you grab them by the hand and they're getting more confidence, what happens when a person gets more confident? They're going to put a little more action out. When they put more action out, they're going to get bigger results. The bigger the confidence, the more action, the bigger the results. Now, you guys all know that people have gotten this company that maybe have gotten big results right out of the gate. If their action and their belief does not back that, that will come backwards 100% of the time, all the time. They don't have the action and the belief to get that. It was luck, or they knew a bunch of people right out of the gate. But if that action and that belief is not there, that will come backwards. But if you've got them by the hand, walking them through this the whole time, you're right there with them. You're taking some of those, maybe those punches that people are throwing at them. You're taking some of that negative. I know how to respond to it. So it just helps them with their confidence. So that's how we onboard. I'm getting them doing meetings. I want first, when I sign them up, I'm like, you want to build this, right? Yeah. Okay. How many hours? What are you willing? What kind of time are you willing to put in this? Where would you like to be in 6 months? Like, how much money would you like to be maybe making in about 6 months? Because on this legal document, if you see in about 20 some months, average income could be around there. People have done it. It's over $6,000 a month income. So it's taken close to 2 years to make around $6,000 a month. Not that, where would you like to be? Now, if they said, well, I'd like to be making $6,000 a month in 3 months, That is that's possible, but it's not reality, right? So I want to get them I don't want to set false expectations. I say, you know what? I've seen people that do that. It took me way longer to do that, and I'm pretty freaking good at this. So let's just back that up a little bit. How about $1,000 a month in maybe 6 months, where it's month that $12,000 a year raise, and you keep doing what you're doing in your job or whatever you're doing. This is just a part-time gig. With an extra 12,000 in 6 months coming in every year after that, would you like that? I mean, good God, the average Social Security check is only 15, 1,600 freaking dollars a month. Poverty, guys. People work their whole freaking life to make $1,600 a month and retire on Social Security. That was my dad. My dad who adopted me. The day he died, or we buried him, my mom got his first Social Security check. He worked his whole life, and that's all he talked about is retiring it into Social Security. And the day we buried him, my mom got his first check. Can you imagine working your whole life, killing yourself for somebody or something or someone to get $1,600 a month, and that's what you live for? For God's sakes, guys, you all have loved ones that have died. Do you not think they had goals or dreams, or maybe they would like to have a shot at achieving some of those goals or dreams, but they never even saw a vehicle that could get them there? And you just been showed a vehicle to help you get there where there's no risk? Why would you say no to that? That's how I'm onboarding people, and that's how I'm talking to people, guys. Like I want to get them prepared to go to battle. And when I do meetings for them, if I set up 4 or 5 meetings, I'm signing somebody up. And now I'm putting money in their pocket as fast as I can. So I just proved to them that this works. Add a little bit more confidence, right? So now they're going to want to talk to more people. And then they're going to get more confident. And they're going to want to talk to more people. And then a company does something stupid or somebody does something stupid. And then maybe you take a punch in the gut or something happens. But they've already got that belief that was there. Never, ever, ever, ever quit doing what you were doing to get you where you're at right now. Don't quit doing that. Momentum doesn't last forever. It'll die in every one of your businesses at some point. Don't quit doing what you did to get you where you're at. This is where most people screw up in this industry is once they hit that wall, this is where I could tell. They start posting all over social media. They're panicking. They're like, oh my God, I don't know anybody. My business is going backwards. What I'm doing ain't working. So they panic. They start throwing all this stupid crap all over social media, begging for people to reach out to them, to beg them to start doing their business. When I see people start doing that, I go, oh, they're panicking. They're freaking out a little bit. Just keep doing what you did to get to where you're at. That momentum will eventually pick back up again. Cynthia's never grown as fast as she wanted to grow, right? Me and Summer have not. None of the executives on here, it never goes as fast as we want it to go. But I'm telling you, it is freaking worth it. It is worth it. What if it took you 5 years to where you're making 10 grand a month? Just being consistent, doing the 5 principles and behaviors. And when we're onboarding, man, I am brainwashing my people. Get this in front of at least 15 people or more a month. And I'm talking and more if you want to grow fast. Me and Summer preach that to our group. Always do what do you think Marcel always talks about? Always do what you say you're going to do. Because if you're a person of your word and your group hears you talking the talk, but they don't see you walking the walk, they'll quit following you. They will quit following you. But if they see you talking the talk, but you're also walking the walk, doing what you say you're going to do, now you're becoming a leader. People will start to follow you. You start to get a little bit more influence, right? And then that group will follow you when you do that. We talk about and promote. Be one of the best promoters there are in this industry and teach people how to be leaders, and this business will be the best and funnest thing you've ever done. Right? I've tried to trade for Cynthia. I was offering Chris and Sarah 2 first-round draft picks and a third-round draft pick, right? For Cynthia. They said no. Like I'm giving you 2 first-round draft picks and a third round, and they said no to me. Like I would do anything to have Cynthia in my business. She's not, but she's still my business partner because when you get to the executive level, we split on 4% of global sales. It goes into a pool and we get shares of that revenue every month. Guys, as we're signing people up and we're setting up those meetings, that's how me and Summer are talking to people. Like I want them reaching out while I'm there with them because when they get responses, I know how to respond. Like if you leave them, let's say I sign Stewart up and we're on a Zoom and I sign Stewart up And then he's excited. So he starts talking to people and they start hitting him with this and that. And he's like, I don't know how to answer that. Holy crap. And then I called Stuart the next day. Hey, you got your 20 names ready? Half the time they don't even answer because now they're scared or because they just got punched in the gut by two of their favorite people that they thought were going to join them and be multimillionaires together. And those people were negative. Do not let people go out there and try to do this on their own. I don't care who they are. Most people are going to struggle with that. And so be right there with them. Because if I know me and Stuart are doing this together and he sticks with me and he stays by my side and he's doing those 15 or more presentations a month and we're doing them together for a while, I know he's going to make money. I know he's going to grow. He cannot not grow. What'll hurt Stuart is if I do one presentation with him, and maybe the person doesn't sign up. And he's like, well, I could probably do that better than Rob. And then I don't hear from Stuart. I don't see him jumping on the Zoom calls. I don't see him jump on these trainings after a couple months. I lost Stuart. I lost him. So even when you're onboarding them, guys, they got to be having fun at some point in this. Because if they're not making any money, but they're still having fun, they'll stick around. If they feel like they're appreciated and they're a part of something and their voice is being heard, they'll stick around. If they're not having any fun and they're not making any money, bye-bye. They're gone. 100% of the freaking time. They're gone. So why would you waste all your time getting them involved and then ghosting them or trying to be their boss? Right? Just promote, get people on these calls like your life depended on it because they're going to learn from some of the top people in this industry how to actually do this. You want them around that because that builds confidence. Remember? Get them to the conventions. They can see all the people that are having success and all that, and then come to building depth where you could really see it, where you could literally see those people crossing stage at every rank. You can see the people winning the trips. You can see the emotion. You can see the belief. You can see the action. Oh, it's right there. You can't deny it. So all of that right there, guys, with onboarding, why would somebody say no to this? It literally blows my mind. With Cynthia's presentation that she just shared with you, why would you say no to something like that? That's how I talk to people, you guys. I go, why would you say no to that? You're telling me you don't want to make any more money? Oh, no, Rob, I'd like to make more money. Okay, hold that thought. You're telling me you don't want to feel better, take away some aches and pains, maybe sleep a little bit better, decrease that old oxidative stress level. You want to age faster or slower? Oh, I'd love to age slower, Rob. Okay, hold that thought. And then you hate your family so much that you won't have any time with them. You'd just rather be busy your whole life and work until you die. Oh no, Rob, I'd love to spend more time with my family. Okay, what's not for you? I just showed you how to make money, how to get time back in your life, and literally how to be healthier. What's not for you? Explain that to me. Guys, if you're getting a no, they're terrified, they worry about what people think about them, or fear and doubt. Fear and doubt. You guys, all you consultants on, you shared this with somebody, and like, that's not for me. And they don't even order at least pro tandem. They didn't hear a word you said. It went right over their head. And so when you're onboarding with this, guys, this is one of the things that I'll do too. As I want to say, if you go out and you do this on your own, you're setting meetings up or you're inviting. An invite is less than 70 seconds. If you're talking over about 70 seconds, this is statistically now. If you're talking over 70 seconds, you might as well do a whole presentation because you're talking too much now. You're not the one that's going to be doing the whole presentation. You're just the little messenger that's setting up the presentation to have the person that got you involved to help you with that. And you do those together until you feel confident enough. I want to do this with Stuart until he knows you know what, Rob, I don't need you to do the presentation for him anymore, but I want him to have me a part of almost every validation. And I'll jump on for maybe 5 minutes. And I don't do that because I want to overcut Stuart, or you know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I do that because I want Stuart's new guy to see there's another person in here that's just been doing it longer, that's got a little bit more experience, but is also here to help them too. So not only do you got Stuart, you got me. But when I'm on there, I'm edifying Marcel, I'm edifying Cynthia, I'm edifying Chris and Sarah, I'm edifying Candy, I'm edifying everybody that's part of building depth because they're going to have a chance to meet every one of those people because we all work together. So now not only did Stuart show them one person that's going to help them, they've got at least a dozen other top earners in this company there to help them too. And that gives them more confidence where they're going to put out more action and bigger results. Man, I hope that helped you guys because keep this freaking simple. Do not overcomplicate this. The bigger the belief, The more action, the bigger the results. 15 more presentations a month. And then just get them on these calls. This call happens twice a month. We do the building depth teaching training calls twice a month. A lot of these executives have presentation calls once a week or once a month or bi-weekly or bi-monthly. Use all of those. Use all of those arrows to help you build. Use the system to help you build your business. If you block out the system and you literally try to do this on your own, you will fail. Period. You will fail. And then I'll see you in another company 4 months from now that you say, this is amazing and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to continue to do the same thing you do there. And then 6 months later, I'll see you in another company. And you'll be one of those company hoppers that just is looking for the open up the mailbox and have $100 bills fall out, but you forget you actually got to go do something to get it. This isn't welfare. You got to get off your butt and go do something to actually make that kind of money. This isn't welfare. Right. And that's how I talk to people. Right, Ernie? That's how I talk to people. Like, you got to be, I call a spade a spade. There's no gray area with me and my wife. It's all black and white. And I tell people, if you want to do this, great, awesome. I'd love to have you as a partner. I'd love to help you. But if you don't want to do this, honestly, I could care less. I don't care. I find people every day that want me to partner with them and help them. Because, guys, if you have to convince people to be your partner in this, if you literally have to convince them after what Cynthia just shared with you, if I have to convince somebody to join me after what Cynthia just shared with them, they're not my people. I am not going to freaking try to convince somebody to be my partner if they're, holy crap. We're publicly traded. We can't lie to you. The numbers are there. Debt-free company, life-changing products. Over 20 million in the bank last year. Last year we had 225 million. Debt-free. Ring the closing bell for the stock market twice in the last 6 years coming July. What the heck more do you want? Like, what more do you want? Man, I hope that fired some people up because me and Cynthia, I think we did our job tonight. I think we did our job. So go out there, go grab your next door neighbor, punch him in the throat, at least subdue him for long enough that we can get him in front of us and share the information with him, guys. Go out there and start knocking this dang thing out of the park. They pay you a crazy amount of money to go help people. The more people you help, the bigger your check is. You want to make a lot of money, go help a lot of people. You want to make a couple $100, go help a few people. There it is right there. There's the secret. Love you guys. You guys have an amazing night. Be safe. Get out there and do your presentations and then look for the next call coming up. Love you guys. Be good, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you guys so much. You're amazing.
Thank you.